Oh, futures are flat. What's going on, Sly? You are the first. Wow. Great timing. Welcome in, everyone. What a great Monday. Lewis, what's going on? What's good? What's good? Testing. You guys can all hear me, right? Just making sure. Glad to be here, Sly. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Appreciate it. Welcome in, everyone else. I know it's Monday Night Football, so not going to be a huge crowd, but we'll run through some things pretty quick. Hey, Randy, what's going on? I think everyone's watching Monday Night Football. Pretty much. Monday Night Football is pretty much taking all away all the attention from money. But it's all good. We'll run through some things fairly quickly, give you guys the info you guys need to know, and then everyone can get back to their normal, regular scheduled activities. And right now, the Bills are winning against the Titans. Etsy was a banger. That was beautiful having that come off the newsletter on the first day and just be an $8 move. That was a beautiful play today. Beautiful. And the moment I called it out and I was mentioning newsletter plays on live, that was the funny part. The alert went off just moments later, which was just beautiful. And it took off from that moment like there was barely a pullback on that $7 move there. So it was just a beautiful play on the newsletter. My other play was Penn, so we'll see if how that one does. It wasn't looking too great, but it kind of ended flat on the day. So there's always tomorrow. We'll see what the price action does, and then we'll go from there. But I guess we'll get started real quick. We'll cover a few tickers that I'm looking at. We'll run through those, and then should be fairly quick. All right. We'll start with NASDAQ. As we see, futures are pretty flat. We've been getting an explosive move. We got a break of the beautiful downtrend on NASDAQ. We had that nice little retest. And then so we're pushing. I'm looking for a push toward 15,425 on NASDAQ. If for any reason we do get any kind of consolidation, any type of pullback, I want to say, before the uptrend continues, then I'm looking to hold support at 15,192 on NASDAQ. Okay, so those are the two levels I'm really watching for tomorrow. So either way, either we're going to get a nice little consolidation slash red day tomorrow. We retest 15,192 and then push to 15,425, or we go straight up to this level. Okay, so those are the support and resistance levels I'm watching for NASDAQ tomorrow. As far as S&P, a little bit more going on here. As we see, we actually tested 1472 today on S&P futures. And so that's a key level for me. If we end up breaking down here as we see futures a little flat, then I'm looking for support to catch up 4462. If not, then I do see that we have a little bit more of a room to fall, in which that's not going to be too great. But we could end up catching a little bit of support, I think, right around this level of 44.46. That may be an intermediate level to catch a little bit more support if we break 44.62. Otherwise, if we can continue the uptrend, then I'm looking at 45.10, and that'll be the overall target, in which I know a lot of traders have been looking for 451 on SPY, so that does align with that target level, and so we'll be watching for that. I would expect S&P to be green. Somehow NASDAQ could end up pulling back. One interesting thing that I will point out right now is that I did see a lot of flow coming in today as far as names on Boeing, Caterpillar, Lowe's, and then also a little bit of Disney. Disney did catch a little bit of flow today as well. So what that really tells me is that there is a rotation that's going to go on here soon, because as you notice, none of those names I just mentioned are tech. So as tech continues to finish its rally here, it's likely that we're going to see some kind of rotation. The Caterpillar calls were out to like November. We saw Boeing calls that went out literally out to November as well. Disney's catching a little bit of mixed flow because that pattern is not necessarily bullish. It has a descending channel, a descending triangle, I mean. And I did post that one on my Twitter. But it's just to give you that awareness that it is looking like at some point in time here soon that we're going to get a rotation into those typical names there. So that's something to keep. Yeah, Lowe's flow was insanely crazy. I think actually caught that, and he also caught Walmart flow too. So that was another one that he caught. So that does tell me that there's going to be a rotation basically that's going to be taking place here soon as tech continues to finish this rally, likely into next week here. So those do look really good. So those are ones, if you're looking to not chase tech, those are the positions that you really want to scale into and get into a swing position out to November calls. And Sig would definitely be the one that would be calling out those on lives. He does necessarily call out his plays on live. So you're probably going to hear him because I know he does do outdated swings. So if you're going to hear him get into those kind of names, Boeing, Caterpillar, Walmart, Lowe's, it'll likely be from him more than likely. And so just moving forward then, again, just keep an eye on the levels for S&P. I do expect us to push towards 451, but support levels are intact here. Moving forward then, as far as tech goes, Amazon was just the biggest winner here so far. We'll likely see this run continue. I wanted to swing calls, but given the fact that I expect some kind of consolidation tomorrow, a little bit of choppy to red movement before this continuation of the uptrend on tech. So I didn't do that. I'll look for a position tomorrow morning on this, but I'm first looking to see this 34.52 level, which will get a little bit of resistance there over that 34.52 level, then I'm looking over to 35.27. And so that'll be the two levels that I'm really looking at as far as Amazon for this continuation. But again, I do expect a little bit of a chop here going into tomorrow. Granted, we just had a 100-point day. We had a 37-point day today. I do expect a little bit of some kind of choppy to red movement here before this move continues upward. So just keep that in mind. Moving forward, Google is another one that's been on my watch list. It looks a little bit like a bull flag if you pull it all the way out there. This one had a nice little breakout. Going back in, we had that breakout. We did retest on that channel there. And then so now we're pushing forward. I am looking to 2886. Flow was pretty much reading out to 2900 as far as what I was looking for Google for the end of the week. So those are two levels that I'm looking at for continuation on this one, 2886, and then the flow is pretty much outlining for 2900 calls. So I do have those two ranges outlined there, so keep that one on watch for tomorrow. Moving along, Shop is another one. This one pretty much just got away from me today. That pop was really quickly. It actually moved when I saw it, it was around $10 to $11, and it just took off. As you see, this candle just went massive today. So I'm going to be looking for 1475 on this one for this uptrend to continue there to get a little bit of resistance at 1475. And then overall calls for the end of the week, we're pushing towards 1500. Granted, we got a 40-point move today again. Likely we see some kind of chop before that continuation hits to blow off that top of 1500 that we're expecting. Okay, so keep that in mind. 1475 is really my resistance there, and then we should expect a little bit of resistance before we break through. Of course, the name that everyone wants to know about, Tesla. So two levels that I'm really watching here on Tesla for tomorrow. I'm watching for support at 864. That'll be my support level if we end up pulling backs. I don't expect a drastic pullback because there's just way too much strong flow on Tesla right now. They're not going to tank it. I don't necessarily expect this gap to be filled either. Although if we end up breaking 864, then I wouldn't rule out the gap fill below 851. So that's just something to keep in mind. But my key level of support that I want to see this hold is 864. That may be a dip buy entry for me. And then overall target is 880. And I'm projecting that to actually hit right by earnings, before earnings. So that'll be my projected target there of 880, which will give us about a $10 upside from current levels, which is pretty average for Tesla. So it could indicate that we're going to get a little bit of choppy movement and then make that strong push to 880. Granted, it's only a $10 move that it needs to make. And today, we just ripped off 27 points like it was nothing. So keep those two levels in mind, 864 and 880. Moving along, Facebook. Facebook was a big one. This one was actually very much a sleeper last week. As we saw, it was pretty much a lagger of all the tech stocks last week. So it got a very good push today. $10 move. That was pretty much unprecedented. I don't think anyone expected that type of move in a single day from Facebook. But two levels I'm watching, 338. That'll be the first target zone. If we break over 338, then I'm looking at 345. So those are those two ranges I'm looking at. I don't expect this stock to necessarily get back over 345. They would, even if they blow out earnings, I don't expect Facebook to really push. Facebook is one of those names. It did pop the last two earnings that it had, but given all the circumstances of all the troubles going around with Facebook, I don't expect to necessarily get over that 345. Just my personal outlook because of all the troubles. Their numbers will likely be phenomenal across the board, but it's just too much surrounding the company right now. So that's just a personal insight on that. One play that I'm really intrigued about is Square. I'm actually holding a position on Square overnight. And so as you see, you have a descending broadening wedge. We actually did form a nice little ascending triangle inside of that broadening wedge. We got the wick out of it, flashing a breakout. But what we need to see now is the continuation going into tomorrow. So that's what I do want to see. I want to see that continuation. I want to see that push towards 258. And then my overall target was right around 268. Right, so that's what I'll be, 260, 260, I apologize. So 258 is what I want to see get over right into this resistance of the broadening wedge. And then we're going to go right up to 260, 261. And that'll be my target zone for that. All right, so we'll likely get a nice little retest here once we get to that 260, 261 range, and then we'll see for the continuation at that point. Another one, as we were mentioning a little bit earlier, was Caterpillar. As you see, I do have an alert set on Caterpillar. You see the little clock right there. So I am watching for Caterpillar to break over this 203 range. To 199 range is when I want to see this get over. So it's about $1 and change move to hit my alert. And then I'm looking for a solid move right up to 203. In which case that'll be my profit taking area. I'll determine what the next level is at that point, but 203, that's my pretty much my profit level that I want to exit that position. I'll enter right over that level again over 199.45, and then my profit taking will be around 203. So that'll be a quick move for me. Let's smash that like button. Definitely, that's definitely a yes. All right, so a few more tickers here running through that. Disney, I did, like I said, I posted this one on my Twitter. It's for that drop today. That was a 7-point drop. That really wasn't unusual from Disney. Granted, what we've seen the price action as of from Friday, it popped up on that fake news and then it actually consolidated and then we got that really bad news. So, but what I'm looking for is I do want to see the support hold on the descending channel. That's really what I want to look for. So 169 is my support level that I want to see it hold. If we hold there, I may scale into a small position for a swing. But if we end up breaking down, and I would say to give it a little bit of leeway, around that, if we break 168, then it's likely a bear case scenario in which I'll leave it as is. I don't want to short Disney, but if it holds that 169 level, that's what I'm really more intrigued about, is getting a long position on this one. So we'll see if that one, and we do have this nice little gap. So if we hold that 169 level, then this gap comes into play. But this is kind of a wait and see, and then we'll see what it does around that 169 range, and that'll determine pretty much if I take a position or not. Now, moving forward to China names. Of course, everyone's looking at China right now. We had a nice little double bottom action here on Baidu. It had nice price action, making us about almost an $8 move today. So I do have an alert set on this one too. I want to see this break over 172.70 range, and then that gap fill is going to come into play. So we'll enter that gap right over 173.52. And that'll be a beautiful move right up to the range of 177. So I'll be watching that one. That's definitely a nice one. I know that also the other one that I was watching was Baba. I know that Avery and a few other players are actually in that one. If I'm not mistaken, Dan's in that, Tom is in Baba, and Avery's in Baba. So we'll see how that actually moves, but it does have a nice little ascending triangle. You want to see this get over that resistance, right? Breaking over that 170 level. And then I have this in play right up to 178 to test the gap fill. Now, do I expect this to get to that gap fill just yet? No. So that's why I did put a target of 178. It's likely going to take a little bit more time. Probably test this, reject, and then make that next push, probably at a later time to get over to that gap fill. But definitely 178 is my target if we break this resistance on the ascending, and that'll be a solid double-digit move, which you can't complain about that. Now this one actually, and I'm sure that SIG has its eyes on this one tomorrow, is AFRM. Now what I actually noticed, and it probably looks a little bit better on the 4-hour. Why did I click on? Alright. So what I actually noticed is that this looks like a little bit of an unusual ascending channel. And the only reason I say that is because, as you see, it actually does respect the resistance and support lines to an extent. It actually held this support line all the way through. And if you notice, it has a nice little resistance level that it was holding these wicks. So if we can get a nice push, I can see this pushing to 167, 168. If not, we're going to come down to support, and that'll be the deciding factor if we get a steeper pullback at that point and break the pattern. But it did see a little bit of an ascending channel formation on it, so I know that Sig's going to be watching this one out the gate probably tomorrow, but this is definitely one that's going to catch everyone's attention probably tomorrow. So I'll be watching this one, but I do want to see it break over this high, over that 160 level. Then we get that nice push over to 167, 168 to the resistance that I have. So that'll be a beautiful one. We'll definitely be talking about that one tomorrow. If it's not in the morning, it'll definitely be at some point of the day. All right. And then the last one, I also posted this one on my Twitter. AMD was a beautiful move. If you guys actually caught that rapid today, that was probably the easiest money that you could make. So if you haven't noticed or haven't heard from anyone in the Discord yet, AMD rapids are pretty much almost 100% winners so far. I don't think an AMD rapid has actually ever failed, and that was just the easiest 10% gain that you can practically make. So, and I think Sig and Dapper can actually attest to that because it practically almost never fails. You can literally take that one play and be green on the day and not have to worry about anything if you hit AMD Rapid. So just want to throw that out there. But I'm really watching for AMD for continuation. I do want to see it get into this gap fill. Over 117.68, we'll get a nice move into this gap fill, in which that'll be a quick move up to 118.17. Now this one did have a lot of flow actually to 120 by the end of the week. So that's something to keep in mind if we get over this level, which I actually have outlined right around 119, mid 119 level. I do have that arc marked, so that'll give us that push right into 120. But I definitely that gap fill is really what actually caught my attention. So that's why I really wanted to point out. So we'll see us get over that gap fill, and that'll be a nice continuation to AMD for tomorrow. And that'll likely finish the play if we do get it tomorrow. Otherwise, then we have to postpone it for another day, and we probably get a little bit of chop here going sideways to consolidate this move. All right. Other than that, I think that kind of wraps up today's session. Yeah, rapids are just, they hit off. There's just a different level. I mean, Avery really did hit a number on the rapid flow. If you actually saw, Dan actually turned $10,000 into 100,000 in about 2 months' time, just doing rapids only. So I do want to point that out. That is something that is pretty amazing. I mean, that the level of difficulty to have to just discipline yourself to only doing rapids, I think that would probably be the hardest part of that. I'll take a look at one because I did go through a lot, but I'll take a look at Skyworks for you real quick. You have a pretty nice downtrend here. Looks like you broke it. So you broke a nice little downtrend here. I will say that's your downtrend right there. You're getting a little bit of chop. You're getting a nice little retest, so you're holding above the downtrend. If I'm looking for you to get a nice little breakout level, see what that breakout level is looking like. This would likely be your breakout level right here. This is where you want to see it break out and hold above. So right over 161.81, that would be the beautiful level to get this to hold and continue an uptrend. Now if I'm looking for a profit taking level, see where we can get a nice little profit taking level here. I think your profit level will be right around this range if you're looking for a short-term swing. And so you would take that right up to 164.40 in that range. And that, so that would be a nice little push right there. Now, if you're looking to go more outdated, then that comes into play is the gap fill. So it all depends how long you're actually looking to play that out. But you do have a gap above 171. So that would be the difference between that. And you do have an intermediate resistance here right around 168.70. So that's another level to keep in mind as well. But again, if you're looking for a short-term range, then you're looking to play between these two levels, right into the target level 164.40. Otherwise, then you would look at another resistance level right around that 168.70, and then a gap fill at 171. So those are the three levels I'll look at as for Skyworks. But that definitely looks like a nice chart. It did break the downtrend. You just need it to hold and show a little bit of continuation over this breakout level here. All right. Other than that, that will wrap up tonight's session. I did go through quite a few charts here, especially a lot of tech here. But that wrapped up tonight's session. Now we can resume Monday Night Football. And we'll see you guys on live tomorrow, 9:30 Eastern, all right? You guys have a good night, and I'll meet you guys on live tomorrow, all right?